Now the pastor who's a non-believer in COVID restrictions. Pastor Marvin's sermon was before about 60 of his flock. To make matters worse, the church is in the middle of a hotspot. What was he thinking?
As New South Wales entered its toughest COVID restrictions, came this.
In the name of Jesus, we refuse every lockdown in our cities.
It's very dangerous, and the sad thing is that they don't realise that.
Whether it's a soccer match, whether it's a church service, it doesn't matter. You cannot gather as they did at Blacktown.
We declare that lockdowns are over in the name of Jesus. Lockdowns are over in the cities of New South Wales.
This is Pastor Marvin Asagi from the Church Embassy Sydney at Blacktown. It happened last night, right in the heart of one of the local government areas labelled a hotspot. Today, the house of worship was quieter than a church mouse. A Current Affair has been told it's not the first time the Church Embassy has snubbed its nose at the COVID health guidelines.
They've had a few services recently, seen multiple cars pull up and no masks or anything in evidence, so not that surprised really.
Stephen Goss contacted police last week over an illegal service at the church, which is nestled among a number of industrial units.
Willful disobedience of the health acts, I think, is something to be stamped out. Accidents happen, but, willful breaches, I think that's the wrong thing to do.
New South Wales Deputy Commissioner Gary Warboys.
I really do hope that they're now reflecting on not just the pastor, but the people that attended, reflecting on what they actually did, the risk that they put themselves, their children who were there, their families and their community at. I would hope that that would be the very last time that we see that sort of activity from that group of people.
The major concern is the worshippers came from all over West and southwestern Sydney to take part. From Canterbury, Bankstown to Fairfield and Liverpool, the faithful flocked. They are also LGAs of concern. Police were called here to the Christ Embassy Church after a tip-off to the Crime Stoppers hotline. When they got here, they handed out fines worth more than $35,000. As the operator of the church, Pastor Asagi was hit with a $5,000 infringement notice. Adult worshippers were whacked with $1,000 fines. The pastor was lying low today, with police turning up at his home keen to speak with him, but he wasn't there. As they queued in Blacktown to get vaccinated this morning, everyone we spoke to expressed disbelief and anger.
Pathetic. I think everybody should be, taking responsibilities as a good citizen.
I thought it was very selfish, to be honest. I mean, I'm not against church people. I believe in God myself, but with the technology these days, you have Zoom and you have ways of, still doing your church services. There's no need for it.
Terrible.
Why?
Terrible. Because they're not putting the interest of the community at heart.
Religious leaders are also incensed.
These laws and regulations are in our favour, to save our life, to save our families.
Imam Kauza from the Marsden Park Mosque in Sydney's West.
I think every place of worship or the other denomination should cooperate with the government. They should understand, they should educate their members as we are doing it.
Well, it was silly, silly and ill-advised at the minimum.
The Uniting Church's Reverend Bill Cruz.
It's very, very sad. Very sad, They don't realise God provided a solution by getting doctors and vaccines. He's given it to us to rescue people. Us, we can do it ourselves.
We're in Blacktown. It's a hotspot.
Exactly. You got to use some common sense, right?
And there's been no common sense here.
No.
And it's putting the community at risk.